This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, we have a lovely guest here on the show on this February 22nd, 2022. On this cold day, folks, I give you one the lovely independent scream queens, the lovely Rebecca Rinehart. How do you do, Rebecca?
I will say it's not cold here, though. I'm in Indiana and it's 60 degrees out, but by 7 o'clock, it's supposed to be 30 degrees. So we're right behind you.
So 30 degrees is nothing to us.
No, but it is when you wake up and it was 30 degrees warmer. Whatever. This February, it's a wild card month. Who cares?
Yeah. So you got collectibles behind you, I'm seeing here on Zoom.
Not exactly what you would think. So the front half of my house is almost, well, it's just entirely horror. So I have a bunch of, posters from movies I've done, from other movies. My bathroom, even my shower curtain is like horror posters. It looks like horror posters all put together. But this is my other passion, and I collect Barbies. I am a big Barbie girl. And so, yes, what you see behind me are the dream house. You can see up here. The friendship is up here, which is an airplane. I really like 70s and 80s. That's like my main time, but
same here. Yep.
And even, because I'm well rounded, I even have Kiss and Mystery Science Theater 3000. So
and you got a white dog there behind you.
I do. She's my co-host. This is Snickers. She usually is my co-host on my YouTube channel. So I'm on the Not Quite Found Girl YouTube channel. I do drunken commentaries, and Snickers always has to join in. So she's a critical part of any interview that I do.
I got a cat, but I doubt he'll come over now because he's so used to me sticking him on camera. He says, "You're using me for hits." He says, "You got to pay up in Temptations."
Hey, whatever. They got to earn their keep.
Yeah. But wow, Barbies. It's funny because I back years ago I bought a Lita figurine from WWE, and when I brought her up to the checkup counter, the checkup woman, an elderly woman, says, "Is this a Barbie?" I'm sure Lita would love to hear that.
It's a collector's figurine. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's hard to believe because Barbie is older than I am. I think, what was it?
59.
59. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So Barbie's up there.
Yeah, she is. Hey, she's still looking good though, and still, being a vet, a pilot, a mountain climber, everything. So
I especially loved her in the Toy Story movies.
Oh yeah. She's an actress.
Especially Toy Story 2, where she had the outtakes. Oh, my face! How long do I have to keep smiling? Love it. I was looking over on your credits. I know you're in Shriekshow, so I came prepared. I thought I'd wear Killer Clowns.
There we go.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, I thought I'd wear that for this, So we're going to talk about your films and whatnot, but before I do that, I want to dive into your background. What made you get into horror and films in general? What led you to choose that?
So this is obviously a question I've answered before. So, I'll give you my speech, my well-prepared speech. I have loved horror movies since I was young. When I was really young, they intrigued me, but scared the crap out of me. I was a total scaredy cat until I was probably about 8 or 9. But they just intrigued me. And then as I got a little bit older, I grew up in a small ass town. And we happened to have this one video store where the owner was really into horror, and he would buy anything horror, like no budget, high budget, anything. And so I had the really awesome experience of just being able to go into this video store and pick what I wanted based on the cover. I mean, come on, 80s artwork was really awesome. And I watched the Friday the 13th movies. I also watched shot on video crap, like I watched everything. I didn't have any concept of what was a $10,000 budget movie and what was a $10 million budget movie. We had a theater with one screen. So the theater experience meant nothing to me. Like E.T. and Top Gun are like the only things that ever played. So I really did gravitate towards like, the lower budget slashers, especially. And so when I was younger, we'd have sleepovers and whatnot, and you'd be like, oh, let's watch Sleepaway Camp, let's watch, Flesh Eating Mothers, whatever. And then, about age 14, 15, I would be like, hey guys, I got lunch meat from the video store. We want to watch Pretty Woman instead, like everybody else outgrew horror and I didn't. and so I was like, whatever. I went through my whole life and I was married and blah, blah, blah. Let's just the black hole of like 20 years. And then, I went to a lot of horror conventions. We have a couple of big ones here in Indianapolis that had some of the first ones that of kind of the modern horror conventions. And it was the first time I went in 2010, 2009, maybe, to my first horror convention. And I like walked in, and this is pre-internet the way we know it. I mean, we had internet, but it wasn't like it is now. And I walk into this hotel ballroom, and there are all these people who are like me, tall, skinny, black, white, fat, purple hair, elderly, wearing polos, wearing, Michael Jackson cosplay, the whole thing. And they're all there because they love horror. And that was the first time I was like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. And so I went to a lot of conventions and started meeting a lot of people, and I would get a lot of memorabilia of all the things that I really liked and, get pictures and things, but they all ended up in boxes under my bed or in my garage or whatever. And so I finally got out of the bad marriage in 2018. And the day that my ex left, I got all those boxes out. I just started putting shit everywhere. Sorry, can I say shit? Putting all my horror shit everywhere. And I'm like, forget it. I'm never again going to like suppress who I am. And I started getting really involved in like some groups on the internet and ended up on a podcast. So that was how I started, was podcasting with a couple of friends. I had extreme social anxiety, like super extreme. And so it was a big deal for me to start podcasting. And then eventually I'm like, I'll do a YouTube channel. And so I started my own YouTube channel. And then when I was going to these conventions, I found out that these people who made these low budget movies actually want you to talk to them. Like they're not untouchable. They want to do interviews like this. And so I went to my very first, I guess you could say my first official event was Horror Hound in Cincinnati, 2019. I got a press pass. And I had interviews lined up with Steve Rudzinski from Karis Hell, because we watched that for our podcast. We all loved that movie, and I saw he was going to be there. And I'm like, I'm just going to message this guy. And I did. He like messaged me back. And then Tony Wash, who was the director of Skeletons in the Closet at the time, he's done other things too. And so I was like, woo, it was a huge deal. And so I went and I interviewed these people, put it on my YouTube channel. I was like, I'm kind of good at this, like, because this is just my own like 2 cents, but it's kind of hard to be a girl in the horror scene, at least until you prove yourself. It is the dumbest freaking thing ever, that people question. Like, I know this is the way women who are really into football feel like they have to like prove that they know everything there is to know about that particular thing to prove that they're not just liking it for a guy. So, I'm always like being challenged with like trivia and whatever. It's like, hey, you just don't even want to start, guys, whatever. And so that was the first time that I really felt like I had a voice as a woman in horror. And I started doing a lot more interviews. And I wasn't even scared to like hit people up. Like I was watching a movie, She Kills. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but I was watching it and I was like, this movie is great. And so I look on Instagram and I find the director and I message him and I'm like, hey, I'm watching a movie. It's great. And I sat there and I talked to him the whole time. And in fact, I've been in a couple of his movies since then.
Oh, wow.
But like just that breaking the ice and realize that independent filmmakers are just people who make movies because they love to. And so after talking to a lot of people, then I, had directors who I was interviewing who said, hey, like when we do this interview, when we're done, let's shoot a scene for my movie. And so I just started doing movies, and I did the first thing I filmed, I think, was for Tim Ritter, who was a big SOV director, which was a bucket list thing because I rented his movies when I was a kid at that video store, and now here I am like, wow, I'm working with Tim Ritter. This is awesome. Well, once Tim Ritter put me in a movie, then, all the other SOV guys wanted to put me in movies. And, so now it's like I've got credits with Donald Farmer and Todd Sheets and, and like all these people they were my idols. Then they became my friends. And now they've become my colleagues, and it's really cool. So I eventually just got the idea that like, what, it's hard, but I'm really organized. Like, I think I can do this. So I just decided to make my own movie. It was a little bit more than that, but I was doing like producing. I was doing a lot of promoting and producing for people. And I realized it's kind of thankless. Sometimes people don't appreciate what you do. So I'm like, if I'm going to put all this energy into something, it's going to be mine. And so my sister had an idea for a script. We wrote it. We filmed it in the middle of a pandemic. And that is the Embalmers. And right now, my biggest thing is I'm working on my follow-up, which we'll be filming this summer. It's called Tin Roof. It is a new take on a camp slasher, because that's where my roots are. So there you go.
We'll be talking about the Embalmers momentarily. It's funny, you have a similar background as me, because I too was afraid of horror films growing up, and I had an uncle that owned a video store.
Ooh, nice.
Yep. My introductory to horror was when I was young. There used to be a horror film on every Friday night. And I hated to sit there and watch, but yet the same token, somehow I ended up doing so,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm still to this day a believer in good over evil. So I'd always watch to the end to see evil get its comeuppance. Didn't always happen, which was always a disappointing, and I would go to bed frightened. But of course, I'm almost 50 years old now, so it doesn't quite work the same way now. But I remember some of the movies that would come on those Friday nights, like Salem's Lot was one, and Horror High. And it's funny because I've interviewed Pat Carty from that movie.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And Children Shouldn't Play It with Dead Things was another one,
Yes.
And I was afraid of horror films, and I got a real life lesson with one. My cousins, my older brother, baited me into watching Friday the 13th Part 2. And
which is my favorite movie of all time, by the way.
yeah,
Yes.
you like it more than The Room?
Yeah, I do love The Room. I love it in different ways.
Friday the 13th Part 2 became a real life lesson for me, because who knew you could learn from one of these movies? Well, Kirsten Baker became the first female I'd ever seen naked.
Uh-huh.
And
I
that
don't
was
think you're alone in that.
and my mom rushes in and turns the television off. We had like 3 or 4 kills up until that point.
Right. But
That
that's
was where
okay. I mean, machete through the forehead, that's fine. You go ahead and watch that, little Greggy, but you know what? You cannot see a butt.
I
Heaven
spent.
forbid.
Yeah, that was the first time. I would have been early teen, and back when you're early teens, but well, when you're me, you weren't into girls, you were into guy things, like whatever was on TV or whatever action movies or whatever. But I sat and watched Friday the 13th Part 2 like this. And why did I sit there and keep watching it? I wanted to see this character in the burlap sack get his comeuppance. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and I went home frightened, and wondering if I was going to get to sleep. I think what had happened is my older brother had convinced me to watch Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which I didn't want to watch at that time, but he said the killer gets his comeuppance in this one.
He knew how to get you.
He was right, and I did do a lot of this during it, but I remember coming out of that one less scarred.
Yeah, there's something about the formula of especially those movies. And I'm not big on, sometimes I like rooting for the bad guy. I mean, Jason Voorhees is like my babe, like I'm never gonna root against him. But there's something about being able to identify with somebody who is going through a hardship and everybody else is just falling like flies, and they say, you know what, I'm not going to do that, because that's kind of the way I live my life. So I always identify with, the final girl, final guy. Sometimes with the killer, but especially when they're plowing down some of the annoying characters.
Well, I've had Ted White on my show twice. He was my favorite Jason, and he was, of course, the final chapter Jason. And I think he was the best Jason out of the bunch, the most intense, So I don't know, that kind of struck my curiosity, and I've been kind of watching horror films ever since. Now I don't watch them like this.
Mm-hmm. Now you really hope that someday you're going to watch something that will scare you. If you're anything like me.
Yeah, I did see Birdemic. That did kind of scare me, but not in the same way.
Shout out to my friend Alan Bagg, Rod from Birdemic. He is my friend.
I gotta get somebody on the show from that movie,
I could hook you up with Alan.
Oh, perfect. My first interview on here was Tommy Wiseau from The Room.
Well, that's the way to go out of the gate. Wow.
Yeah, and there's something about some of these movies that are so bad they're good. They're fun to watch with an audience. But
which just Mystery Science Theater 3000 riff tracks. I watch them constantly because that's how I watch TV. That's how I watch movies.
Yeah,
it's a constant stream of as the movie's going on.
Well, something, it's interesting too. You got to jump on the cons years before me. You were 2010. You went to your first one.
Yeah, it was like 2009. I think was the first one.
My first one was in 2017, which was meant I was into my podcast by 2 years, and I had a similar experience. I had never been outside New Brunswick, Canada at all in my life. Like I said, I'm going to be 50 this year. I'd never been outside New Brunswick other than Prince Edward Island, which for somehow I always connect with us anyway. But nonetheless, I was doing my second interview with Lisa Langlois from class of 1984. And that was one of those movies I saw at my uncle's store growing up. And we got talking about travel, and Lisa had just moved back to Toronto, and she says to me, she says, what's stopping me from traveling? And then she made me the pitch I could not refuse. She said she was doing Horrorama in Toronto, and she invited me to assist her at her table.
Oh, nice.
I couldn't say no to that.
No.
So it led to me being the only one in my family who's ever gone on a plane. And it turned out the plane ride didn't bother me. I was worried about it up until I did it. It was like a bus in the sky, It was actually pretty cool. remember landing in Toronto, and it's like, we got some big buildings here, but nothing like there. And I get off that plane, it's like Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, people going this way and this way, and like, wow, it's just
Yeah.
so fast paced. And I remember Lisa met me at Union Station, and she gave me a little tour of how to use the subways and the streetcars, and after I got my stuff dropped off, she and I met at a restaurant just to connect and get to know each other, because it was 2 days before the con. The con was Saturday and Sunday, but I got there on a Thursday. I remember she asked me if I had jet lag and wanted to sleep, and I said, no, I'm kind of awake. I'm in a new wilderness here. But
Shell shocked.
so I dropped my stuff off, and then she and I met at a restaurant, and we just sat there. It's funny because the conversation wasn't really about her career. She asked me a lot of questions about me and where I was from, and she and I to this day now are close friends,
Nice.
mainly by phone because, I see her when I go to Toronto, but we keep in touch. And she opened up that new life for me, and she told me, get business cards done up, and that you can give out on your podcast, and she taught me a lot about networking, and I learned a lot from Lisa. And we went around Toronto, look at the locations from Class of 1984, and which was really fun. I've interviewed 5 people from that movie now, and but nonetheless, I remember that first con. And I remember a lot of the guests that were there. At the time, it was just her and Leslie Donaldson that I had previously interviewed. I've now interviewed about half the roster that was there. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I had a blast. But you mentioned going around and saying, I'm not the only one. Well, I walked around when I had a free moment, and I had a Clockwork Orange t-shirt on. And this woman dressed as a demented clown come up to me. She goes, I like your t-shirt. And I said, thanks. And she rolled her sleeve up, and there was a Clockwork Orange tattooed on her arm. And I thought that was pretty cool, and I'm like,
Yep.
I felt like I fit in, and
Yep.
although the pandemic played a damper and everything, I have done 3 horror-ramas. I've done 1 Toronto Comic Con, and last year I did Frightmare in the Falls, and I'm going to do one. I'm set to do one again this year because I got Lisa booked into Frightmare in the Falls this year for the 40th anniversary of Class of 1984. So I'm going to get to assist her again, which will be fun.
Nice. Full
And
circle.
by the way, if speaking of Frightmare in the Falls, if you ever get the chance to meet Felissa Rose, do so.
She was the first celebrity that well, not the first, but she was one of the first that I ever met. I met her at her first convention, and she was like just on this little table, and to be honest, like Sleepaway Camp 2 was my jam. I watched that a dozen times before I watched Sleepaway Camp, but I love Sleepaway Camp. And I couldn't even, this is how long ago it was, I couldn't even buy a Sleepaway Camp t-shirt. I made my own, with you would get that iron on stuff and put it through your printer, and iron it on your shirt. So she's just sitting there at her table, you can tell she has no idea what she's doing. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, look at your shirt. Oh my God, and she's just like, I can't believe that people watched this movie. She had no idea that anybody was even going to know who she was, or that anybody, and look at where she's come, in the last 10 years.
She's in
Yeah,
a lot of
she's
movies
super
now.
awesome. She's in a lot of movies, and like I said, she's living the American dream. She did something when she was 12 years old, and she's making a living off of it for the rest of her life. And it took a while, but
Yeah, she's in a few movies I got my name on. In fact, when I met her at Frightmare in the Falls, um, I got my name on The Dead End. Okay, I've interviewed Robert Restro from that movie and the director. And I walked up at the time I was meeting Dave Sheridan, who was seated right beside her. And of course, he was Officer Doofy in Scary Movie. He was there in costume. But I told him, I said, I'm a associate producer on Z Dead End. And he looks at me and he goes, technically, you're my boss. And he turns to Felissa and goes, hey, this is our boss. And Felissa's like, hi. I'll tell you my Felissa story though. Like everybody that met her got a big hug. And she would always do one photo where she was doing the Angela face and one where she's not. But what was funny is that I champion a charity challenge called the Doubtfire Face Challenge for Suicide and Depression Awareness. And it's kind of like the Ice Bucket Challenge, only you take a pie in the face.
No.
And you nominate 3 people. And one of the people I've had on my show, in fact, I'm slated to have her on again this week, is Sandy Johnson from Halloween. And
Nice.
Sandy did the challenge, and her husband was dressed up as Michael Myers and put the pie in her face. And one of the people she nominated was Felissa Rose. So I showed Felissa Rose that video. And Felissa was like, I love Sandy. Yeah, I'll do it. Not only did she say she's going to do it, but she's going to, she said she plans to do it with the people she nominates. And she said she's nominating Dave Sheridan, Alex Vincent, and Christina Lease. So I'm like, awesome, you
Nice.
know? Yep. So that was my experience of Felissa. She was wonderful. I haven't had her on here yet, but she is going to do my show. But she is so busy. I don't know when that'll happen, but it'll happen, you know. But she made everybody feel like $1 million, and she was constantly busy all weekend.
Yeah.
Yep. Who else did you meet at the cons? Who are some of the most memorable meets?
I don't get starstruck anymore. Like I've met all my, like my bucket list was like not anybody else's bucket list. But I met Tom Savini for the first, like I've actually had dinner with Tom Savini at this point in time, but the first time I ever met Tom Savini, I was like totally starstruck. And then the 2018, when I was like, okay, woohoo, I'm gonna do, my own thing. Like summer came around and I went to Days of the Dead in Indianapolis and I got VIP passes. It was my birthday weekend. Gene Simmons was there. And I'm like, I've been a fan of Kiss since I was a little baby. And, I brought my Destroyer album from like when I was a baby that we had. And, it was just like, I'm going to make the most of this weekend. And I had a photo op with Sid Haig. And I was sitting at the bar. I was like kind of early and I was kind of talking to this guy. And he mentioned he was Sid's producer for High on the Hog. And I was like, oh, he's like, yeah, I'm here with him. Like, that's why I'm here. And I was like, oh, I'm like, I wanted to do like a photo, like in the photo op, I wanted to do like a birthday thing. Do you think you could get him to say? He's like, come by the table, whatever. And then later on that night, he's like, oh, we're going to go eat dinner in the bar later, come join us or whatever. And this was a smaller venue, but back then, like, you'd sit there and just be like, clinking glasses with like, anybody. But I had dinner with Sid Haig and it was like super awesome. And it was not, he was pretty frail at the time, but he still was feisty as ever. And that was a really special moment.
Yeah, we sadly lost Sid Haig, but I've heard all good things about him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good dude.
it's hard. Like I've interviewed a few people who are now gone, and it's always like I had this conversation with Sean Clark, about when he loses clients that pass away, and it's always hit you in a strange way. Like I'd interviewed Dick Miller 5 months before he passed, and I was lucky I got him when I did,
Mhm.
and it's always it's like, had I not reached out, would I have gotten like it was just something I took a chance on, and he did the show, but he was 90 years old, so he lived a good life. But
Yeah.
yeah, but no, I love the cons, and I'm hoping to do a couple this October. So but I'm looking forward to doing one with Lisa, so that's going to be wonderful. I've had some good experiences with this, in terms of movies. I'm on 13 Fanboy as a co-producer. The Hearts of Darkness, the Making of the Final Friday, I'm on as associate producer. Victim No More for Bobby Heckman. You know, I cameo in 9 James Balsamo movies.
Oh,
Which,
nice.
yeah, that was an interesting little story. I connected with him because I'd interviewed Genevieve Rossi, who I've was connected through somebody else, and I just noticed Genevieve had a lot of movie store credits through James Balsamo, so that's when I reached out to him. I'm an essential worker, so at the time, of course, we didn't have the pandemic, and I was on my lunch break, and it was 4 a.m. because I work back shift, and I get this email from James asking me if I'd shoot my own death scene for Cool as Hell 2. I stopped. I sat and stared at that for a long time, and I knew I was 4 hours ahead of him, so I gave him a call, and I was like, "What's the context of my death scene?" And I just shot something really cheap, but something that worked to my favor, and I was like, "Okay." Now I'm in 9 of his movies, and probably the best experience was 2 scenes I shot for It Wants Blood where my footage is being watched by Eric Roberts. So I'm in scenes with Eric Roberts, and I didn't
There
even
you
have to
go.
leave. I didn't even have to leave New Brunswick. So
Yeah. It's not
yeah,
Sharktopus, but damn it, you were in a movie with Eric Roberts.
there you go. There you go. But nonetheless, you have done a lot of interesting movies. We are going to dive in here because I've highlighted a few of these I want to talk about. Slumber Party, Slaughter Party. You play Mindy. Now, I'm trying to think who it was I had interviewed from this movie because I know this has come up before. And I'm like, who did I interview from this movie? And I cannot figure it
Yeah,
out.
you might be thinking of Slumber Party, Slaughterhouse Slumber Party is what you might be thinking
Maybe
of.
that's it.
Yeah, but that movie is by a guy named Dwayne Etheridge. He is a filmmaker in North Carolina. I auditioned for another movie that I was going to do. Pandemic hit, of course. And travel was actually blocked when I was supposed to be filming. And so I just did a cameo for him. I shot some stuff here. And then I was supposed to be in the sequel, and then pandemic came back around. So I reprised my character as a Zoom, like it's supposed to be like a chat, like cam girl. Um, so right now, Dwayne just had a heart transplant. We are waiting to see how he's doing. So good thoughts out
Okay.
to him. He's a good guy.
best of luck on him for his recovery.
Yep.
But I was looking through your filmography because there's a lot of these are new to me, and sometimes titles just grab me. One's like, "Holy shit, man!" I watched the
So
trailer for that.
Holy Shit Man is Holy Shit Man is a project that was done here in Indianapolis. It was like zero budget, like anything that cost money, we all just kind of gave ourselves. A bulk of it was filmed at my house, in the garage of the director, the producer's garage. Like we got, a lot of free locations. But it was just a super fun movie. So the director and the producer, they had this idea. They were like, how many times a day you say holy shit, man? Like just holy shit, man. Like, what if that actually like called like some sort of demon, like
Kind
a
of like
Candyman or a
Candyman.
Bloody Mary, right?
Kind
And
of like
so
Candyman, only you say "Holy shit, man."
right. So the premise is, you say holy shit, man 3 times, and then the devil's plumber comes. So I didn't know what I was getting into. I just happened to see on a film group, I happened to see the poster, and it's like a hand with a plunger coming out of a toilet. And I saw they were filming in Indy, and I'm like, hey, I'm an Indy and I'm an actress and stuff. So if you want help, whatever. And so they were like, well, do you want to do this one little part? And it's in the trailer. That was supposed to be, well, that was not even the part I was supposed to do, but we did this porn within the movie. This horrible and terrible. But then it was like, well, okay, so do you want to do this other scene too? Like, we'll figure out a way to do it. Blah, blah. Okay, well, the lead can't do it. So, and it's supposed to be the lead's supposed to be a guy. Would you want to be the lead? I'm like, sure, why the hell not? So we changed it around, and it's like, okay, so now we've got like a lesbian love story. Just a lovelorn girl who just is trying to like make her way through the world and find love, but she's also a plumber and she's being haunted by holy shit, man. So
I love your outfit.
It is disgusting. That outfit, I think, is still for sale if you wanted it. Signed by me, and not laundered either. There's probably a lot of chocolate on it. But yeah, we just had fun. We shot it over probably 6 months, did a lot of stuff on weekends. And well, in fact, holy shit, man himself supposed to be here in about a half an hour, just to come hang out because he's our friend. But it's just a really, really fun movie. It is dippy and dumb and just poop jokes and the whole way through, and it was just a lot.
Who's the holy shit man?
Brent Black.
Brent Black.
He's an actor here in Indianapolis. He was actually in the Embalmers. He's done quite a few things around here.
So when he shows up, are you gonna say holy shit, man?
Oh yeah, he puts on the hat, which was my like. I had like a sexy Freddy Krueger outfit, and we decided he needs like holy shit, man, needed a hat. So I just hand him that. So that became his hat, and he puts it on, and he just goes right into character. So.
Oh, I should get him on the show. I want to know more about this.
He is a load of fun. So.
But I've interviewed a few people. James Balsamo is in this. That's Melvin. I just discovered that. Or Marvin. Is this?
Oh yeah, James Balsamo. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't on set with him, but yeah, he's friends with my director.
And John Dugan, I've interviewed from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
He did our theme song. It's like a spoken word theme song about the legend of holy shit, man.
Mm-hmm. Julianne Prescott, I haven't had on, but I'm very familiar with her. Yeah, I love that poster. Holy shit, man. Okay.
Yeah.
It's one I'm definitely open to seeing. That way, why not?
Yep. It's available for rent on Vimeo. And you can buy it on DVD and Blu-ray. I can send you the link, but it's a super fun movie.
Now, the Embalmers, I'm gonna say I have interviewed Ellen Nudie twice. I love her.
She's awesome. She's great.
And she did a Doubt for Her Face challenge, which I mentioned to you earlier. Yeah, she was a lot of fun. I threw that at her because she's also a clown.
Yes.
so I couldn't help it. But I'd say since My Bloody Valentine, she's gotten better looking with age, you know?
Yeah, yeah. She doesn't. I mean, she doesn't look like she did then at all. Like, I
No,
mean, like there's some people like you look at them and you're like, yeah, you see them 30 years later and you're like, yeah, that's that person. She doesn't really have the same look at all that she did when
no.
she was young. Like her facial structure even looks different.
Oh,
But
she
yeah,
looks
she's
great.
yeah, she's super awesome. She was one of those ones that just she happened to I don't know, she happened to find our page or something and she just posted something. It's like I'm a Lynn Unity and and I'm, available and it's in My Bloody Valentine, Dr. Quinn Medicine Order. My sister, my sister, that was her starstruck moment. She was like, oh my God. I don't remember what her name was on the show because I never watched it. She's like, oh my God, it's Mira
Hmm.
whatever her name was on that show. I mean, my sister was just like about ready to shit her pants when it's like, oh my God, Elaine Uni wants to work with us. So yeah, she was fantastic as Billy, the leader of the hillbilly hoodoo clan in the Embalmers.
Uh-huh.
And when we started casting for Tin Roof, she hit myself and Rob Mello, who's the writer. She hit us up and was like, hey, can I audition for something? We're like, well, hell yes, so we're like, hey, we must have done something right if Lynn wants to come back. She's just great. She's a consummate professional. She just brings so much to the set. I mean, she's been doing this since she was a teenager. And she, not a diva at all. She's totally a, hardworking go-getter, and she's a fun, great gal.
Oh, I love her. Absolutely love her. And again, you're working with Heather Harlow and Julianne Prescott again. You obviously have a good connection with those two.
Heather Harlow is like my sister. um,
Okay.
yeah, she was actually in Holy Shit Man with me in the porn part of it. We've done several things together. We worked on My Girlfriend the Serial Killer a couple months ago. She was on the Embalmers. She every time she on my couch is her couch. And in fact, her dog Milo is my dog's mini me. Her dog looks just like my dog, and like they have the same like temperament, but she's just a little bit smaller. So we'll dog sit Milo whenever Heather comes to town too, so that Heather or Milo and Snickers can have fun. But Julianne's great. She's kind of taken a little sabbatical. I think she's doing a lot more producing, but she's kind of taken a break from social media and acting. But I've worked with her on a lot of stuff. In fact, full circle, Shriek she and I are actually the segment that we are in. We're together. So a lot of times when you're in these anthology movies, like people will be like I was in one and Lloyd Kaufman was in one of the segments, and I had somebody like, can you give me Lloyd Kaufman's phone number? I'm like, you really don't understand how any of this works. Like you're in an anthology, you've got a credit with this person, that person, this person, but chances are you were only on set with the director and like 3 other people. But Julie was my partner in crime for that one. And we shot a short that hasn't, for Brad Twigg, who's the director, that hasn't come out yet. We shot that the same weekend, which was super fun. And I can't wait for that to come out because it is. I got to be really bloody. I got to be the killer for once. Nah.
Yeah, Shriek I watched the trailer for that last night. Boy, that looks good, a little Rob Zombie-ish kind of, there
And
seems to be a thing about killer clowns that people are fascinated with killer clowns from outer space, you name it,
yeah, this is a movie definitely that, I mean, this is Brad Twigg's baby. He's been working on it for so long. It's gotten derailed by COVID and it's gotten funded, and then then things get more expensive whenever you have to reschedule and get people back, and he's had to do I think 3 different crowdfunding campaigns and whatever. So support the movie. And if you're in Pennsylvania, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, which I know how Pennsylvania is, it's like probably closer to West Virginia and Maryland, I think. But this coming weekend, the world premiere of Shriekshow is going to be in Waynesboro, and there is an event on Facebook if you are interested in going.
Okay. Yeah, you got Felissa Rose in that one.
Yeah.
And Tuesday night, Beverly Randolph. You got a good cast.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in there. It's a star-studded event.
Yeah. No, it looks crazy, you know, and it looks like, again, Brad Twig's one of these people I haven't had on here yet, but Shriek looks like one of these very ambitious projects that all the right elements come together. You mentioned gore effects. This looks like one of these independent films that looks larger than life, judging from its trailers. So, talk about, without giving spoilers, any makeup job you were involved with or effects work from Shriek that you were involved with.
Let's just say that the weekend that I spent in West Virginia with Brad and his crew was the bloodiest weekend that I ever had. We'll just leave it at that. There were gallons and gallons. I mean, we hauled like not even gallons, but like those big, like almost like gas cans, like the huge jugs like this. We were mixing blood like by, I guess, 2-gallon jug all weekend. So, yeah.
So who got it the worst, you or Julianne? In terms of being
between
dosed
the two, because we did do 2 projects, I got it worse from the other project. From Shriekshow, she got it worse.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, that second day I was like, oh hey, I don't have to be covered in like pancake syrup. Yay.
Well, judging from Sissy Spacek and Carrie, that's not exactly the most comfortable position to be in.
No, and unfortunately, the day that I was covered in blood, like literally, I murdered a guy in a tent, and we had like literally super soaker blood everywhere, and so I'm supposed to come out of the tent. Well, I'm supposed to be drenched in blood, and this tent is just, there's probably about an inch puddle of blood in this whole thing. And I'm like, listen, we're not gonna waste a bunch of blood. I just like went in there and was doing snow angels and covering myself and getting all yucky. And it was fun. But then it started raining and it dropped like 15 degrees. And I was freezing my ass off. We didn't have heat. We were at like a horse farm. So we were eating lunch in a barn and I had like towels on me, like eating my taco. But it's fun. That's definitely my happy place though.
There you go. Well, you got some real strange titles here. I did watch the trailer for this one here, and I don't know where this come from, but Sharks of the Corn.
Yes. Yes, I'm the poster child for Sharks of the Corn. So that is from Tim Ritter and Ron Bonk. I mentioned both of those guys. So again, bucket list. I work with these 2 guys that I loved their movies, and I just happened to hit them up, and now I'm like working with them. But Ron has he has a label called SRS Cinema that he distributes a lot of independent horror. And he wanted to make a series of shark movies, and he gave different directors some money to do shark movies. And he just gave them like a name and some money and said, here, go make me a movie. Mark Polonia is another one that did one of those. And I've recently worked with him, which was super awesome. Splatter Farm was one of my favorite rentals when I was a kid. But Tim's was Corn Sharks was what he was given. Corn Sharks. And I was going there to do another movie. So this is the way it always goes, right? So I was going down to Kentucky to do a movie for him that was like a Jess Franco kind of homage. And he had just heard that he was doing that. He's like, listen, I don't have a script. I've got a few ideas of what I want to do with this corn shark thing. It's like, but do you want to be like the Jaws opening of this? Like, right? And I'm like, well, yeah. Do you want to be chased naked in a cornfield with a shark? Well, yeah. So we did the movie that I was supposed to be doing on a Saturday. And then that Sunday we went to the cornfield. I had broken my toe the day before I left, my second toe. So I was pretty much hobbling the whole time. And so when I was running through the cornfield, I was wearing wedge heels And yeah, it's not comfortable to run through corn, but it was super fun. Super fun. The movie kind of takes some different twists, but he shot that basically as an homage to Jaws, which is his favorite movie. It's supposed to be like the beginning, the skinny dipping scene. And it also served as the trailer. So, and then I ended up on the poster. So I have a shirt with me screaming, running through corn with a shark behind it. Like, how many people can say that?
The trailer looked hysterical, I'll tell you
Yeah,
that, you know.
lots of fun.
Had a very Attack of the Killer Tomatoes vibe to it.
Yeah, it does go in a different direction than you would think. It goes a little more Children of the Corn. There's a lot of cult type stuff that happens in it, but you know, my part's straight on what you would expect, man. Like I like literally Tim has a shark puppet and he's running beside me. The cameraman's on the other side running beside me. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And I definitely heard of Backwoods Bubba. Now, was Tamara Glynn supposed to be attached to that, or what's the story there?
She Backwoods Bubba, she was originally attached to it. She was going to play the mother character, and then the pandemic hit. I do believe it was pandemic that happened there. She had to drop out of it. But it ended up being a really fun shoot. It was definitely a learning experience for everybody. So Brad Thomason, who's the director and writer, like I really liked his idea, and I was like, hey, listen, let's add some dialogue. Let's add some, you know, three-dimensionality to these characters. And so I kind of reworked it for him. We shot it over 4 or 5 days with some awesome people: Dylan Von Harvey, Alice Winkler, Julianne, again, Brian Ward. And he released a cut that wasn't really, it was very unpolished, it was very unfinished. Unfortunately, that was what he released. And since then, though, the movie has been recut, recolored, and it is what the glory that Backwoods Bubba should have been. So if you get a chance to check out the new reissue, it is quite fun.
There you go. Well, you got a lot of films too that are in again, great title, Carousel too.
Yeah. So Carousel the Second was another. I told you that one of the first people I ever interviewed was Steve Rosinski, the director of Carousel, and I championed that movie. And so when he was making a sequel, he messaged me. It's like, do you want to read for a part for this? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I mean, a movie that I like absolutely adore, and like everybody, I just like watched this freaking movie, you know, everybody I come across. And so in it, so the original is about a sentient unicorn, carousel unicorn named Duke, who gets fed up with his job. He gets fed up being abused by the kids. And he breaks free and goes on a murderous rampage.
Okay.
And Carousel the Second is really, it's Duke's story. It's more about his backstory, who he is. And come to find out, he was a Nazi experiment, delving into black magic. He was an American soldier who was put into a unicorn. And now the immortal Nazis, one of whom is me, are now back in tracking him down. So I got to play this character that Steve kind of wrote around me, and she's like a social media influencer, but she's also a Nazi. So it's really, it was so fun. And I took German for 8 years, so that was the first time I've ever been able to actually use my German for a real thing. So hey, yay college, right?
There you go.
Yeah. My German teacher be proud. But both movies are very fun, very goofy, super awesome movies.
Sister Krampus. Now, I didn't know a lot about Krampus until that movie came out a few years back, and now you get Krampus everywhere.
Yeah, another German thing. So Yeah, and also that goes along with another one of the genres that I seem to be delving into lately, and that is the killer nun genre.
There you go.
But yeah, Sister Krampus was another that was actually a Ron Bonk production for SRS, and it was from Mark Polonia, who he and his brother John famously, pioneered the SOV revolution. In the 80s, they were making movies when they were like 15. But it was Ron wanted some Christmas movies, and he just gave same thing as he did with the shark thing. He's like, hey, I'm just gonna go recruit some known directors and give them an idea. So Sister Krampus, I was supposed to be Sister Krampus, the evil demon nun, which is really more my wheelhouse. And Danielle Donahue, who's been in a lot of his movies, I have not been in any of his movies. Danielle Donahue was supposed to be the lead antagonist. So there are two sisters who are just normal people. And she said, damn it. She's like, I always have to be the normal person. Can I be the crazy one? And so he made Danielle the nun, the demon nun, and made me the normal girl, which is so out of my wheelhouse. Like, I'm just a normal person in a weird situation. And like, I've never played that ever. I'm way better at doing larger than life, like Dr. Bubenstein, like these like weird characters. And so it was actually, of all things, Sister Krampus was a stretch for me because I had to be just a normal person. But it was a lot of fun.
There you go.
That's a super good crew in Pennsylvania. That whole Polonia verse out there.
Well, this one here says post-production, so I don't know what you can delve into, but we've had a lot of Sharknadoes out there. Well, you're in Catnado.
Yes, I am. So this was Donald Farmer's brainchild again. If you haven't noticed a pattern here, I really loved shot on video movies. I actually have a podcast called SOBs Who Love SOV. We won the Joe Bob Briggs Silver Bolo Award.
Okay.
When they were still doing that. So our whole universe, we have sovhorror.com, where we do all kinds of stuff. Everybody who loves SOV. But so Catnado was from Donald Farmer, who I befriended from the SOV stuff. And I was supposed to actually do a segment with Tim Ritter, but it kind of fell apart and like scheduling didn't work out or whatever. So Dawn had me do the opening for it. So yes, I'm in that. And it is tales of, yes, there is a Catnado coming through this area, and it's an anthology, more or less. I'm like kind of wrap around, but of people who are battling said Catnado.
My kitty is over there asleep. He just...
The irony is I am horribly, deathly allergic to cats.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have been in a scene with a cat anyway. So my cats are shaking my door behind me.
Yeah. Yeah, I love my kitty. Except that his uptime and my uptime are two different things, but he likes trying to wake me up whenever I'm not supposed to be up.
Yeah, well, this one will sleep 24 hours a day, so she's a good girl.
There you go. There you go. Looking at your credits, one that I recognize is Debbie Does Demons. Well, I remember laughing about this because I've had Angel Bradford on the show, and I just had to bring that title up as like Debbie Does Demons.
So yeah, Angel did the effects. She killed me in Backwoods Bubba as well. She is the titular character of that. We've shot a little bit of it that actually has a producer, it actually has like a backing from a producer, and they did not want to do it during COVID. So we got pushed back. We did do the opening of it with Jessa Flux, myself, and also Josephus Hudson, who unfortunately passed away since. He was a wrestler known as Question Mark in the NWA promotion. He passed away.
Who was it?
Josephus Hudson.
Okay, I'm not familiar, and
Yeah.
I'm a wrestling fan, and I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
I
So
like old school wrestling from the 70s and 80s.
yeah.
That's my era, you know.
So I think there's some rewrites kind of going in, and right now someone is doing actually a comic book based on it. So we all get to be comics, which will be
You
fun.
want to get a wrestler? I just speaking of Ellen Udy, she connected me with this guy. You might want to get Ronnie Angel because he does a lot of these independent horror films. Yeah, I think this would be straight up his alley. But Alan Udy connected me with him, and
Yeah.
he's got a couple of slasher film books and stuff out that I had just ordered. So he's a lot of fun. Yeah. So out of the projects coming up, because I don't know how many non-disclosures you've signed. I know you got Slumber Party, Slaughter Party 2 you coming up. I don't know what you can talk about. Is there anything here you can speak of that's in pre-production or filming?
Yeah, I don't have my IMDb with me right now. I did go to Manhattan a couple months ago to do a movie called Bishop's Cove, which is going to be kind of a hellscape. It's crazy all the way around. It was super fun to be on. It was definitely one of the more, I don't want to use the word professional, more put together movies that I've done. I've seen a lot of the footage from it. It's amazing. It looks great. And it just has a crazy story that's really great. So I'm looking forward to that one coming out. I think it comes out later this year. I really don't know what else I've got on there.
You get another shark one. Shark could go.
Chicago.
Chicago.
Okay. Yeah. So that we haven't filmed that one yet.
You have a thing with sharks?
No. I don't know. I'm not really sure where that all came in. Maybe I'm getting stereotyped. I don't know. Typecast. There's a shark movie. Cast me. I don't care. I'll do it.
So you mentioned that Friday the 13th Part 2 is one of your favorite movies. What other movies are favorites of yours in the horror genre?
So my two favorite movies that I usually they kind of fluctuate depending upon my day are Friday the 13th Part 2 and Sleepaway Camp Part 2. But I do like, so if I have to get out of the slasher realm, I mean, other movies that have influenced me that I love, American Werewolf in London is one, Dead Alive. I'm trying to think of the posters on my wall. Happy Birthday to Me is a big one. Yeah, now I'm drawing a total blank, but The Burning, basically most of the Friday the 13th, everything except for Jason X. I cannot stand
Jason X was horrible.
It's the only one that I.
Oh.
But yeah, so I kind of run the gamut. I tend to levitate more towards 70s and 80s.
Same here.
The 90s were a very bleak, dark hole for a lot of things, not just movies. But obviously I like watching a lot of modern horror and movies that now I can say, hey, I know that person. Oh, hey, look, I know them, which is kind of cool. I never thought I would be in that position.
Why Friday the 13th Part 2? What's so special about that one?
And obviously this is not off the cuff. I've been asked this. I've written essays on it. I think when I was a young kid, I saw this. I was probably 8 or 9. And I think it struck me, along with, of all things, and I saw this way too young. Some adults did not do their job that day, but I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah.
And kind of the two of those together sort of shaped who I am. So Jenny from Part 2, she is, she knows, they established very early on, she's a counselor. I mean, she's an assistant, to this training camp, so she can run a chainsaw, she can run, she's physically fit, she's not a superwoman or anything, she's going to graduate school for child psychology. They set it all out there. And she ends up using all of those things, all of her strengths to defeat the monster, the big bad. And so there's just a lot to be said for that, because you know what, like, let's face it, even like the beefiest guy in any of those movies, it's not going to be able to like defeat Jason using just brute force. So I hate it when people are like, well, she's just a girl. But well, okay, no one ever, like Tommy Jarvis defeats Jason by like shaving his head. Okay, like you got to use something else. Like you got to use your brain. And I Spit on Your Grave, like I was way too young. I was like 5 or 6 when I saw that. And like I didn't even know what sex was, so I did not know what rape was. My takeaway though was, I kind of was always around sort of women who were subservient to men and didn't really have lives or careers or anything like that. And here's this woman who, first of all, she was a writer, which kind of, I was like, that kind of took me aback a little bit, that she, had a job and whatever, and she was by herself. But these boys hurt her and they humiliated her, and she didn't go tell mom or tell the teacher, whatever. She went and took care of it herself. And that was my takeaway. So between those two women, it's kind of that right there. If you watch that double feature, that's kind of how I live my life, minus the weird hillbilly rapist and hulking man-child in the forest.
Yeah. No, I've interviewed a few people from Friday the 13th Part 2. So yeah, actually it's interesting going back to the Doubtfire Face challenge. Laura Marie Taylor just did that challenge and she's pretty cool. So yeah. It's interesting because I think one of the connections we made, I think it was you. We connected online. I don't remember what it was for, but it was something to do with Ms. 45 and Zoe Tamerlis Lund, because that's one of my favorites. And when somebody's passed away, I do tribute interviews. So I've had Zoe's widow on my show 5 times in tribute to Zoe. Boy, I learned a lot about her. But
yeah, sounds like she had a crazy life.
She did. I've had Alfred Hitchcock's granddaughter on the show. I've had Audrey Hepburn's eldest son on the show. It's kind of my way of making them part of the show, despite the fact they're not able to be here. But Ms. 45 is a favorite of mine. Dressed to Kill, the De Palma film, is a favorite of mine. I was so lucky. One of my bucket list, I got Nancy Allen on here last year, and that was pretty cool. I want to talk to her about Dressed to Kill. I like a lot of, I like all kinds of movies, period. I often get labeled into horror, but I find horror, the audience is quite a different niche than what you find with other films. You don't find a con for dramas,
Exactly. Yeah, like there's not like the rom-com fest or anything like that. Yeah, I don't have people who kind of live the whole lifestyle 24/7. You just, I mean, horror is definitely a lifestyle.
Trying to coach my kitty over. Is he gonna come over? Kitty, you gonna come over? Or he's rubbing against my fingers. If I could grab hold of him. Nope, he ran away. Oh
I'm
boy.
not doing your stupid show.
Oh my goodness. Hey, he's caught on. He is caught on. I've had some of my guests that are like, we love it when the kitty's on screen. Yeah. Yeah, like he's like, no. He rubbed against my fingers and he like jumps off the bed. Oh well. Yeah. So you got a lot of collectibles. Anything that you have that's just something that you grabbed that you'd never seen before that was like, I just got to have this. Anything that that stands out to you that you got in your collection?
One thing that is really cool, and I've met these people since then and whatnot, but like one thing that made me feel like I really got a piece of the history of the movie, let's put it that way. So I meet a lot of the Friday the 13th people. I have the Crystal Lake Memories book, and I take it everywhere I go and
Same
have them
here.
sign their page. But we actually are really fortunate here to have a drive-in that the owner is very into independent horror. It's where we did the Embalmers premiere. And they show all kinds of independent horror, old horror, and just very, it's very like drive-in. It's very like awesome drive-in. And a few years ago, well, several years ago, Tom McLaughlin was there for Friday the 13th Part 6. He introduced it. And I've been going to some conventions, and I was kind of like used to the whole how much is it, which one can you sign, like they'll sign one thing and do a selfie or blah blah blah. And so he was like in his tent, and I was like the first one in there, and I was like, okay, cool. And he had brought a binder of storyboards. There were only 2 of them. It was storyboards from Part 6. And I was one of the first people in there. He signed those for like $5 each. And so I got to pick 2. One, the first one I got was Jason in the coffin, like maggot face. And then the other one that I got was the triple decap of the paintballers. And I was like, oh, I want you to sign my book, because like that's kind of my thing. He's like, I can sign both of it, like he's like, I'm not charging or anything. He's just like, I'm just here because you guys all love this movie. And so he signed one of the storyboards, and then I had CJ Graham sign the other one, and it's in a frame, the 2 of them together. And it's just super cool, because I know there's only one of each of those somewhere else in the world, and they're probably not signed by the director and Jason. So yeah, that's probably my little pride thing.
I met CJ Graham at Frightmare in the Falls, and of course we're both part of 13 Fanboys, so I spoke to him about that. I'm good friends with Nancy McLaughlin.
Oh, nice.
Love Nancy. And she's one of these ones, like Lisa Langwa, one of these ones we call whenever, And when I met CJ, I called Nancy, and she was up, and I put her on speakerphone when I went up to meet CJ. And I said to CJ Graham, I said, somebody wants to speak to you about your roadside etiquette.
Is American Express not good enough for you?
I'll tell you, they had about a 5-minute conversation, and it was pretty cool, I told Nancy prior to that I wanted to do that. She was up for it, so I called her the day. And actually, I spoke to Nancy most recently. She and I share a lot of things in common, so I love Nancy McLaughlin. I've had Tom McLaughlin on here a couple times, and Tom Matthews and Carrie Noonan, and one of the paintballers had Whitney Ryback, who was
nice.
Roy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, gee, he should have been the hero.
Yeah. He kind of was of that group.
He was the last one.
Yeah, he won that team building exercise, let's put it that way.
He did. I had him on too, and Jason Lives, in my opinion, is the best Friday the 13th movie, because you got car chase in this movie. You've got so many things that you don't have in other of the series. Now, I think for me, the final chapter was the scariest. But in terms of writing, I think Jason Lives was the best one. And if somebody hadn't seen a Friday the 13th movie, I'd probably direct them towards Jason Lives, because it's an easy watch, and it's got a lot of humor in it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm with a lot of people on that. But nonetheless, CJ Graham did sign my Jason Lives. I got the box set back there, So yeah. I think one of the things I wanted to ask, you got a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Plug and promote that on here because I've listened to it a few times.
And that's probably where we bonded over Ms. 45. So my
Yeah.
channel is called Not Quite Final Girl. And I started my channel, I wanted to have a purpose. And so I started my channel to highlight the girls in horror who just didn't really get the recognition that the final girls got. You know, the girls who maybe got killed, or, you know, they had something, you know, I kind of fudged around with the rules. At first it was like girls that got killed because I was watching these movies and I realized I had backstories like about like minor characters. Like, oh yeah, back home she does this and blah blah blah. And, you know, like, so I'm like, wait, these girls deserve some, you know, they deserve some bravado as well. And I think I have about 12 or 13 of those. They take a long time and it's a lot of work because I do a lot of research on the actresses and the character and whatnot. So I've kind of strayed away from that. But my main thing that I do on that channel now are drunken commentaries. So a couple years ago, I was bored one night and I was drunk and I wanted to watch Sleepaway Camp 2 with somebody. And so I'm like messaging all my friends, like, hey, you guys want to like FaceTime and watch, you know, Sleepaway Camp 2? Every single one of them was busy. And I was like, you know what? I don't need you. And so I put on my Camp Rolling Hills shirt and I put my camera on and I'm like, damn it, I'm going to watch Sleepaway Camp 2. Like, and I'm going to drink and I'm going to tell you everything about this movie and I'm going to sing the Happy Camper song and everything else. I posted that on my YouTube and then suddenly everybody wanted to do a drunken commentary with me. I'm like, well, where were you Friday night? Like, so for the longest time, I would not allow anyone else in them with me. So I just watch movies. I kind of riff tracks them a little bit. I am like a trivia girl. They're usually movies that I know a lot about. So I like to give trivia and also kind of, you know, poke fun at the things that, you know, that inevitably deserve to be poked at. But I've branched out. I do allow some of my friends to be on them now. So
Like the whole like the holy shit man.
Holy shit, man! Yes, Brent Black. He's on quite a few of mine. Charlie Hours, who is my drive-in mutant buddy, and then Rob Mello, who is my significant other and movie partner. And the last one I posted one a week ago. Oh, we did Halloween 3. So a little off season, but it was fun.
There you go.
Yeah.
There
So it's the Not Quite Final Girl on YouTube.
So that's what's called. Yeah. And you still do drunken oh jeepers, I lost the drunken commentary.
Yeah. So we just posted one like 2 weeks ago for Halloween 3.
Okay.
So
All right. Yeah, because I think I listened to the Friday the 13th part 2 one when I first discovered it.
Yeah.
You get right out there on those.
Yeah. Don't watch any of those if you actually want to watch the movie. I actually did Birdemic, and I got flagged for copyright, and like, you know, you can appeal it, and so I'm like, there's no way that anybody could actually watch the movie with as much as I was talking over it, and they immediately took down the flag.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's nothing here. Like if somebody tried to rip this and tried to sell it or something, like, no, they're just going to be listening to some chick going, oh my God, the pumpkin festival.
I went to back in 2019 when I attended Horrorama 2019. I attended a midnight screening of Jason Lives. I got to see that at a theater, a midnight screening, and the theater was called Drunken Cinema.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and the whole idea is you get these cards, and whatever it says on the card, every time that happens, you take a shot. Now, of course,
yeah.
I don't drink, but I would have been plastered had I did, because my card said anytime there's rain or fog on screen, I'm like,
oh God, yeah.
yeah, I would have been way out
Copious
there.
amounts.
Yeah. So I remember I contacted Nancy McLaughlin that night and to let her know that I was going to be on watching her film, and I went to a Christmas party the next night. Um, and I get this phone call, and it was Nancy, and I said, I was watching you last night. She says, I know. But yeah, that was an interesting film to see with an audience, especially drunken cinema. So yeah, I
Nice.
did not drink any alcohol. I stick
But
to
still had
white.
fun nonetheless.
Yeah, I stick to White Russians if I do, because I love the Big Lebowski. But yeah, but not that night. Not that night. Not that night. Do you have any charities that you're involved with that you want to plug and promote on here?
No, not really. My only charities are independent horror films. So it's where I tend to plug and promote is I try to not only promote my own stuff, but promote other people's stuff. So if you follow me on Facebook, yeah, I try to promote as independent horror as much as I can. It's a labor of love. It is definitely not for the faint of heart. So those of us who are out there busting our butts to bring you something different and creative, support us.
Do I dare ask how gross Holy Shit Man is?
Oh, it is. There's some really gross stuff there. I mean, we mixed all the poo, right? You know, we knew the ingredients, but there was like one scene where even the people who mixed the stuff, we were all like, so yeah, it's pretty gross.
How many of the actors ended up having to get in that?
Pretty much. I think if you were on camera, you had to get into chocolate at some point. I'm sorry, poop.
Including Julianne's not in this one, right?
No, Julianne is.
Okay, so you and
I
Julianne.
think she didn't get pooped on. She has a very special role in this movie.
Oh, she didn't get pooped on. She got a special role. She got peed on.
No. Nah, Holy Shit Man is the devil's plumber.
Mm-hmm.
And Julianne is the devil. So
she's
it wouldn't be very nice to poop on your boss.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm amused by that title. So okay. Is there anything else you want to plug and promote on here that you got coming up before we close off?
No. So the only thing I've got going on that I really, really care about is my movie Tin Roof, which is again, it is a camp slasher with a twist. My idea was I wanted to make a camp slasher, but I didn't want to make the protagonists dippy teenagers who were going on spring break on daddy's dime, driving their cute little, Porsche or whatever. I wanted it to be adults, like people my age who had, my exact words were beer bellies, mortgages, kids, and problems. But I wanted to have like identifiable, relatable protagonists, and so that's where we're going with that. It's going to be really awesome. We have a campaign right now on Indiegogo. We are on Facebook at Tin Roof Movie, also on Instagram, same thing at Tin Roof Movie. Check us out, and we're going to be filming here in Indiana in June.
Who's in it?
So Alen Beauty is in it. We also have, we have a lot of people who are from Indiana. So Heather Harlow is going to be in there. She's from Illinois, but like I said, she's like my sister. So, but Ray Hunt from Louisville area, Amanda Winston, she is actually originally from Indiana. Kevin Roach, who was in Harvest Lake, he is in it. And I'm drawing a total blank.
Julianne Prescott?
No, Julianne is not coming back for this one.
Listen, you're supposed to invite your sister in horror. I thought you two were like buddies.
I know. But like I said, she's taking a little bit of a sabbatical, and that's fine. We all have to take a break sometimes. So.
Well, when you're in Holy Shit Man, yes, you have to take a break.
You need a breather.
You need a breather.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I think my last question, that I have is, what's the most interesting thing you've ever been asked to sign?
Wow, I don't know. I mean, the Holy Shit Man overalls, like I said, they're still for sale on sign those, but no, I don't think I've been asked to sign anything like weird. Not yet.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know what, Rebecca, it was wonderful having you come on here today, and love your YouTube channel, and I'm going to say next year around this time, when you get more of these projects completed, I'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely follow what you do, and I know you're one of these people that are constantly busy,
Yes.
but you always have time to do the drunken commentary. What's your favorite drink to have when you do that?
Merlot.
Merlot.
That's my drink of choice.
If you had any of that Crystal Lake wines that Adrian King sells?
Yes, I do. I had those. Yeah. So, and I still have the bottles. Of course, I drank the wine, but yes, I have a wine rack with those displayed.
You see, we can't get them here in Canada. I've had Adrian King was actually my second interview after Tommy Wiseau. I went from Tommy Wiseau to Adrian King. How's that?
Yeah, pretty nice lineup.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I don't get to try that wine.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. It was good, but more importantly, the labels were awesome. So
There you go.
yeah, collector's items.
There you go. There you go. Well, it was wonderful having you come on here today and talk about your films, and yeah, have fun at Shriekshow when that plays.
We sure will.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be a great one. So yes, I'm a Blu-ray collector, so I'm hoping some of these get a Blu-ray release. So yeah.
Many of them do. Many of them have it.
Well, I'm involved with 13 Fanboy, and it's not getting a Blu-ray release. So I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever, but Shriek Show does look great. Like I said, you get a bunch there that I was happy to explore the trailers to last night, and I'm like, okay, this looks like it's right up my alley. But anyway, before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Oh, sure.
Just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Oh. Hi, this is Rebecca Rinehart. You are listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Absolutely. Yes, check out her YouTube channel. Not quite a final girl. That's what you said it was, right? Okay. All right. Not quite a final girl. But you are, right?
Rebecca Reinhardt.
No, but
I am always
yeah,
final girl in it.
Yeah, you better be a final girl.
Yeah.
You have to be alive so you can talk smack behind their back.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, you have fun tonight with your dog. I'm sure he's been back there examining Barbie's dream house.
Yeah, she's just sleeping.
Yeah, he sleeps well when he's around the Barbie stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much.
Right.
God bless and stay safe.
All right. You too. Have a good night.
Take care.